you believe there's another way of living here? My friend Kameron George is on air today with us, and he talks about creating his lifestyle and his business. And if you don't know anything about Kameron George, over the past couple of years, he's been a complete lifestyle entrepreneur. He's been traveling the world doing cool projects like Project AWOL is a project of his, a reality show they created in Thailand for their company. He truly lives the dream. He lives his lifestyle. That's who we have on the air today. So if that resonates with you, this episode's for you. So please enjoy. All right, hello and welcome to MMT TV, and I'm here today with Kameron George, who is a lifestyle entrepreneur. And Kameron really thinks bigger. He does a lot of big things, and I wanted to talk to you today about going big. So how did you do that?
Honestly, man, I used to be an electrician. I kind of became conscious of the fact that you're kind of in control of your life, that the decisions that you make today, right now, are what's going to really determine your tomorrow. And if you want to have a different life right now, then you kind of got to start thinking differently. You got to start thinking bigger. And I made the conscious choice to actually start setting bigger goals, to start reaching a little further, because the truth is, the time's going to pass anyway. You might as well start working towards something big right from the get-go. And that's something that I teach a lot of my clients and that we work with when we're really kind of crafting and digging down into what their vision is for the future.
Yeah, so what was your first big goal there?
Honestly, my very first big goal was $100,000 in 1 month. And I hit it in 2011 while I was living in Thailand, completely by myself on a whim when I really made some big shifts. But that was my first goal that I really consciously set that was way outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, okay. And since then, you've done a lot of cool things. You've done a reality show. Again, that was in Thailand?
That was in Thailand, actually. We went back. It was kind of where everything sort of started for me, where I kind of had my first big breakthroughs, and where I had brought my good friend Dakota when I came back, who had nothing to do with entrepreneurship, who you actually met initially at a conference that we met at. And Dakota, after hearing all the stories and everything that I had told him, he really wanted to go out there and start to experience it for himself. And it was just funny seeing the exact same breakthrough happen for him, where in just his first year online, he actually crushed out the six-figure mark.
Yeah, so when you started Project AWOL, but where did that come from?
Honestly, Project AWOL kind of came out of a reinvention process. Like anything, I mean, your business, like your life, it's constantly this reinvention process where you're taking the feedback that you're getting from kind of your environment, from your business, from the results that you're getting, and you're really starting to shift. I mean, my initial big goal was to have was to be able to doing consistently $100,000 a month. And then when I hit that goal, it felt kind of empty. I was there by myself. I was traveling the world by myself, and I was having this incredible financial success of what my initial vision for myself was. And when I really stopped to look at it, there was a lot of other factors that I hadn't really taken into account yet. I mean, I really believe in freedom, but I believe in freedom spiritually, financially, emotionally, physically, and being able to really encompass a balanced life. And I was actually living in Whistler at the time, and I did my first really big year online. I had my first 7-figure year in sales, and it was kind of empty. I was at this point where, although I was living this dream lifestyle, I didn't really have a lot of people that I was sharing with. I was meeting cool people along the way, and it was awesome to be helping and giving back and having the type of impact that I was having with the training and the curriculum and the content I was putting out there. But having somebody have their first 5-figure day online across the world that I've never met before seemed a little strange that I wasn't having that same impact on the closest friends and the people around me. And I kind of just stopped doing everything in my business. I stopped doing anything. I wasn't really taking any of the actions. I didn't build my business in a way at that time where it was residual, where it was perpetual. So it was like I built myself into I built myself into a job, into what I thought was my initial goal for success. I knew how to make money. I knew how to have success, but I had to be there all the time. If I wasn't working on my business, then it wasn't growing. So I kind of just stopped doing everything. And I kind of went back to the drawing board. I went and I traveled a little bit. I went down to Mexico with some buddies for spring break. I took my family out to Hawaii. And it was actually while I was in Hawaii that I made the decision to actually head back to Edmonton, which is where this all kind of started for me, where I started out online as a construction worker and kind of built my way up and eventually went full time and moved away. And I went back kind of to ground zero, to square one, where I wanted to give back to the people that were actually there for me and supported me in the very beginning. And I went back and I just set everything aside, and that's how I went back to spend some time with Dakota. And at first he was really resistant. I'm like, look, man, I'm here. I know all the people, like anybody I spend my time, anybody I spend time with, I get around and I kind of share some information with. I've watched them transform every time. And it's been incredible. And I went back, and Dakota was really resistant at first. And the only reason he even came down to that conference, that seminar, because that's when everything changed for Dakota, was that weekend that we actually met. And I was literally on my way out the door to that seminar, and he wasn't going to come. And as we went to go leave, we actually went through the garage and we walked in on his stepdad smoking crack. Like actually would, and it was a huge, it like flipped his whole world upside down. He was just like, I got to get out of here too. Let's leave. It was just like, it rocked his whole world.
No
And he
more
came
of
down.
that.
Yeah, no, it was, he just basically, it flipped his whole world upside down because he never thought that something like that was around him. And to him, his stepdad was someone that and he says this in a lot of videos and stuff. He's like, this is somebody that I deemed as successful. This is what I was striving to become. And it made him question everything, basically. And he came down to that conference. That's when he was introduced to the concept of personal development, of working on yourself, of all those different things. And he decided that it was after that weekend that we decided that he wanted to do some network marketing stuff, and he made a decision about a company that he wanted to work with. And I had the skill set of internet marketing, and I came back, got a position in this network marketing company, just sent an email out to my list, created like a $3,000 or $4,000 per month income kind of overnight, and gave him the opportunity to work inside that business. But all of a sudden he was working really hard in this business, doing all the things that he was taught traditionally how to do, and I was just kind of hanging out all day, kind of watching it happen, but watching him start to the things kind of start to click for him, and things start to get in motion. And it was at that point, after a couple months, when we had both qualified for free cars, for BMWs and all this stuff. And it was after that when I'm like, well, are you ready to kind of come online? And Project AWOL was really the evolution and curriculum of the story and process that I kind of took Dakota through, where I just really wanted to create something where it was me sharing my ideas and philosophies and education that I really wanted to be able to create for my friends regardless, that I wanted to be able to create for the people around me, because the truth is that no matter who you are, what you're doing, what it is that you're into, that you can create an income using the internet doing what you love if you'll just learn a skill set of internet marketing. It's as simple as understanding how to craft and build an audience, how to get in front of them with the right offers, and you can create an income doing no matter what it is that you want to do. And that was kind of the philosophy and everything behind Project AWOL. But the leading up story was really actually me taking a really good friend of mine, Dakota, through this exact process. And he was kind of like the initial project and kind of the base framework for what everything was created around, and why that Hollywood camera crew was so interested in coming out to Thailand to film us, and they really couldn't get their heads around this. Like, so let me get this straight. You took a 19-year-old kid, you taught him just some of what you know, and in his first year he made six figures. Like, if a 19-year-old kid could do this, what could happen if we gave other people this curriculum, this education? And honestly, the results have been kind of staggering.
So you were talking about personal development. We've spoken about this in the past, and you said there were some very big shifts that happened in your life, and you did a lot of inner work. Can you comment a little bit about the inner work that you did?
Honestly, I'm the type of guy that when I went through high school, if I even look at myself like 5 years ago, I'm like, if the me now talked to myself from 5 years ago, my 5 year ago self would have told me now to take a hike. Like, what are you talking about? Read daily. What are you talking about? You need to listen to audiobooks and work on yourself. Like, I'm too busy having fun and doing this over here. Like, I wasn't even open to it. I was the type of guy that in high school, I didn't even read a book. If I couldn't purchase the book report from you and get like your version of it, that maybe you did it a different semester or another year, I just didn't do it. I was the type of person that never read a book, that never did anything. And it wasn't until I got into business and I really started struggling. Because I was at this point where I was working a construction job. I was grinding to get a 9 to 5, and I just wasn't happy. The thought of having to work another 40 years of what I was doing every single day just to maintain the lifestyle that I already accomplished at a very young age, just to maintain it, seemed absolutely crazy to me. And I couldn't believe that that's all there was to life. And I kind of came online. I started getting into business. And it wasn't until I got into business that I was even introduced to the concept of personal development. And one of my very first mentors, he said this to me. I kind of came at him and I was telling him all my great ideas, all the things that I was working on. And he's just like, Cameron, listen, your ideas are what's keeping you broke. He's like, my ideas make me millions of dollars. Your ideas are what's keeping you broke. He's just like, you need to stop. You need to go look in the mirror and you're going to find both the problem and the solution. He's like, things aren't going to change for you until you change. And that's when he told me that I needed to start kind of reading and working on myself. And I was like, I was really taken back because it was kind of like I just got punched in the face by a guy that I was paying to help me out. You know what I mean? And I was kind of introduced to the concept of personal development and working on myself and understanding that most people kind of have this mentality where they think, oh, once I have the money, then I'm going to buy the house and then I'm going to be happy. I'll be successful. I'll be this. And that's kind of like how the majority of people think. If you've ever thought about winning the lottery, then that's you too. And I mean, we've all kind of imagined that at some point. But the truth is, the really successful people, the high achievers, the millionaires, the multimillionaires, the billionaires, how they really think and how the wealthy people think is they understand that they need to be the person who's willing to take the action so that they can have the result. They need to be the person that's willing to go get the funds to start the business just so they can have the business. Then they can be the business owner. They can do what business owners do, and they can have what business owners have. And I have this conversation a lot of times with my clients when it comes to learning internet marketing. Like, you need to be the person who's committed enough to take the actions and learn internet marketing just so you can be an internet marketer. Then being an internet marketer, you can do what internet marketers do, and you can have what internet marketers have, meaning like a laptop lifestyle. Like I'm living here at Big White right now, and I have some of my best friends and clients and stuff actually here staying with me. And it's incredible to see the results that they're getting, the shifts that happen just from having people around you. And I don't know, it all kind of starts with working on yourself. It really does.
So who did you have to become?
I had to become someone who was willing to learn, who was willing to kind of set aside my ego and empty your cup and be willing to kind of fill it up again and be like, and start studying from the people that actually had what I wanted. And I understand that myself, just like everybody else on the planet, can actually be, do, or have anything that they really want. And that everybody at some level is successful. I mean, a lot of people don't celebrate the successes in their lives and they're kind of a little down on themselves, but I knew that if I did something, no matter what I did, I could be successful at it. If I just put my mind to it, I could make it happen. I did it. I've done it in snowboarding. I did it in hockey. I actually played professional paintball for a portion of my life. I did it with school when I wanted to, and I just knew that if I was going to be good at, if I was going to do something, I could do it big. And I kind of really started looking around at what other options there were. And I started seeing the type of lifestyles that people were living on the internet. And there was in one video where I connected with a guy and I realized how genuine he was actually being and that he was a real person. And I really connected with him and I started working with him. I went and I actually sold my car. I maxed out 3 credit cards, a line of credit, just to be able to hire this guy. I put myself in like a really, I guess you could say, I don't want to say risky financial situation, but it was a little bit of a reckless situation at the time with my finances to be able to work with this guy. And because I realized the type of lifestyle that they had, and I just kind of wanted to find something that I could actually set my goals on. If I'm going to put my time, my effort, my energy into something, it's got to be something that's worthwhile. And I started realizing the type of lifestyle that people were living, building online businesses, and what the internet has really done for e-commerce and the type of income that can be created. Because most people don't think that, I mean, now in my world, I don't have really anybody in my world anymore, in my circle of friends, that actually works a job anymore. So I'm kind of almost sheltered now in this weird way where I'm just surrounded by people that are making 6- and 7-figure incomes online, where it's normal now for somebody to be making more in a year, more in a month than everybody in my old circle of friends used to be able to make in a year. I have friends now in my circle of influence that make more I've made more in a month than my father has made in a year, which is mind-boggling considering that took him 40 plus years to get to where he is in his job. My dad's actually an electrician. That's kind of where
That's where you got that from.
Yeah.
What were some of the key moments that really just set you off, that said, no more of this, I'm going to go and do internet marketing?
It was a bit of a process. When I used to play professional paintball, and this is something I've actually told a lot of people, when I used to play professional paintball, our team owner, we used to get flown around in a private jet. I used to only actually work my construction job 2 weeks out of the year. I was kind of living AWOL before. I was living a kind of a cool lifestyle where we'd be down at like this Huntington beach house. We'd be there with the team. We'd be practicing with other pro teams, getting ready for the big events down in the States. And in 2008, when the Dodge Chrysler fiasco happened, we kind of had our paychecks pulled, where it was basically like, no, no, you can still come. It's going to be a free vacation, but we can't pay you anymore. And I actually bought my first house when I was 19 years old. So I had a mortgage. I had all these things. It's like, well, if I'm not getting paid, I can't go anymore. But I really started thinking, I'm like, well, I'm working so hard, like so hard on the days that I'm not at paintball, that I'm not traveling and getting paid for that. I'm like, and I'm barely making it by. And the team owner the one day dropped me off from the airport. I realized that he was the type of guy that he's driving me home and it's in the middle of the night, that he didn't just stop and wait for red lights. He was able to consciously look around and be like, oh, there's nobody here. And even something like that kind of took me back. I was like, normally I would
How
have
can
just,
you do that?
I would have just sat there forever. I wasn't kind of making, you could just tell how like conscious he was in his choices about what he was, what he was doing. Is something as simple as that. When he dropped me off, he made a kind of a comment about my cute home. I think he said the words cute or something. And I'm like, dude, this is going to take me like the rest of my life to pay off. Like, what do you, like, how can you say something like that? And the fact of the matter is, like, I was 19 years old living in this neighborhood, and everyone else was 30. It was between 30 to 50, and mostly like kind of newer families. Like, it was a nice neighborhood. It was the Hamptons and the West End of Edmonton. And it just really got me thinking, well, what do you do? What is it that you do? And then I started really thinking about owning a business and entrepreneurship. And then every time I was around him, I'd be at the field or something, I'd just start asking questions. I'd start kind of poking a little bit and really kind of getting some of his perspective and opinion. And the real opinion came down to being that everybody should be in business. No matter who you are, you should be in business. And it kind of goes, that's what led me eventually to reading books like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and understanding the cash flow quadrants, difference between an employee, someone who's self-employed, a business owner, and an investor. And it was really obvious to me that he was a business owner, and that he was an investor, and that there was a lot more leverage, and that when you actually kind of get into this space, that there's no cap on your income. Because before, I was constantly in this place where it was, how can I expand my time? How can I make this job that could take me 10 minutes on this construction site take an hour because I'm actually only getting paid for my time when I just want to fill up my day, to now it's transitioning into a space where it's, how can I get something that would normally personally take me 10 hours worth of work to do? How can I divvy that up between multiple people and have it done in an hour? You know what I mean? And it's understanding how to like kind of how to compress time now versus how to expand it. But that was one of the hugest shifts for me when I realized I had to start thinking, what is it that you did? I didn't realize that entrepreneurship was an option. It's not something that we're taught. I mean, you really can't go to school to become an entrepreneur. I have some really good friends and business partners now, actually, who just got out of Pepperdine University. They just got their MBAs down at Pepperdine. They spent six figures to go to Pepperdine, one of the best business schools in the United States. And I mean, they're both still proud of it, only because of the one relationship that they made from it. A good friend of theirs, and I'm not going to say his name. He actually sold his last company for $750 million. It was acquired for, and it was a really big deal. And it was through that business relationship that that it has now opened a ton of doors for them for going to Pepperdine. But nothing that they learned there did it actually show them how to build and run a business. You know what I mean? And that's one of the best business schools in the United States. So if that's the case with our traditional institutions, where can you really learn entrepreneurship? And the truth is, you got to go to the source. You got to find real mentors. You got to find people who are doing what you want to do, and you got to get around them as quickly as possible, because it's the only way that you're going to get any real results. The only way that you're going to get any real information of knowledge of what's working right now
Is to go to the source.
Yeah.
It's amazing because when you hear people talk about school, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? It's all about what job are you going to have. And it doesn't matter what school, whether it's law school, business school, engineering, it's all about a job. And I think the key is really starting something, creating something. And that's where people, everything falls apart in the first 5 years. That's the statistic. Businesses fail. So how do you get started and sustain that?
Honestly, it comes down to doing something that you love. And this is why I believe and why I created Project AWOL is that I believe that people should be, that no matter who you are, that learning a skill set of internet marketing is the biggest life hack that there is. Because when you have the ability to market on the internet, you have the ability to build an audience. I don't care if you're into basket weaving. I don't care if you just like growing your own pumpkins, that there is an audience out there that you can create and that you can craft, that you will connect with. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're into, and that there's a way to be able to make money from that. And it's time to take money out of the equation, because what's the point of doing something that you don't enjoy doing so you can continue doing something that you don't enjoy doing? It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. And that's really what we're taught. And my biggest thing that I'm going to stand for is to do what you love. And I believe that everybody should learn internet marketing, and that the reason we created Project AWOL was to kind of take this ridiculous this ridiculous journey I went through over the last 3+ years, and close to $200,000 in education I haven't actually spent, and kind of condense that to give people the bite-sized details that they need of what's working right now, so that they can actually go and create something that's going to be long term, that's going to fulfill them. Because I believe that we get that fulfillment from creating things, from going out there. And we actually asked this. It was during some stuff that was off camera. I think we have it in a behind the scenes section somewhere for what was actually done in the real curriculum, the nitty gritty stuff, while we were actually in the reality show. Because the reality show was shot around when we actually had 8 people come out for a workshop, and bits of it were shot and put together, but the nuts and bolts workshop stuff wasn't actually kind of produced and edited in. We have like some behind the scenes stuff. And at one point we went around and asked everyone, like, what do you do? And it's funny that everybody relates what they do and who they are to their income stream. It was like we had Nick Logan there. He's like, I'm a helicopter pilot. I'm this, I'm a that. Karen Ellis was there, and she was like, I'm a stewardess. And then I get all the way over to Dakota, who knew better. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I just have fun. I have fun. I share my voice with the world. I create fun videos, and I just enjoy myself. And I was like, isn't that interesting that everybody else here associated who they are and what they do with their income stream? Because that's really all it is. And it was a difference. And like the only person that was there that really actually enjoyed their job was Nick Logan, because he loves flying helicopters. But there's a difference between flying helicopter because you want to, and flying a helicopter because you have to when you're called up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to go do some big job.
Yes.
So yeah, that was kind of I find that so fascinating. And I believe that everybody kind of needs to make this shift, especially with something like the internet, this technology that we have in front of us, where I believe everybody has the ability to do what they love, no matter who they are, if they will just learn a simple skill set of marketing.
So let's talk about the simple skill set of marketing. Where do you start?
Honestly, it can be as simple as just starting a blog, going to WordPress.com and starting a blog and being on there in kind of this public forum. There's over 60 million bloggers on there right now, but the issue that most of them have is they don't know how to monetize it. They do step 1 and they start building pretty big followings, and then step 2 is, how am I actually creating an income from this? How am I actually giving value? Because the biggest thing that I learned about wealth creation that really had me shift, because I don't do what I do these days for money. It just so happens that the money comes. I do what I do to simply come from a place of giving value, because I believe and I understand that the more value you're able to give, and that money is nothing more than a physical representation of the value that we have, right? Something more than a symbol of the value that you're giving and putting out there. And a lot of people are giving a ton of value on their blogs, but they don't understand how to transition that into direct response marketing, where they can actually start implementing or integrating different products, different services, and all sorts of different things that are not taking away, but actually adding even more value to their audience when they're helping them. And I think a lot of people have, I'm just saying this based on my past experience and my perspective, is that most people don't think of business as being win-win. Some people, we've kind of naturally have this paradigm in society where it's win-lose. Like, for instance, the Olympics are on right now. I was just watching the hockey game before this. Canada's beating Norway right now 3-1. And most people think, well, if somebody's winning, somebody else has to be losing. So if I'm going to sell and offer this product,
Cameron, you're gonna have to
If I'm
repeat
taking
that.
in money, that
Could you
means this
just?
person's losing. It's like, well, no. This is called. It's all about creating a win-win. I
You,
cut
you're
out.
you're gonna have to repeat that part because you cut out. So you have to create a win-win.
Yeah, it's all about creating a win-win and understanding that you're going to be giving enough value that's creating a win for someone else. That you're offering products, training, solutions, services, all sorts of things that are actually creating a win for your audience and your customer base. That's going to allow you to actually be able to create an income. And I mean, it can be as simple as just as starting a blog. And there are some advanced strategies that you can use. Like a lot of our clients here in Project AWOL, I just showed them one little strategy, and they get like 1,000 unique visitors to their blog every single day. And it only takes them like 15, 20 minutes to do every day. So there's a lot of really like cool strategies. And again, WordPress here is just one example of
Well,
it.
you opened it, so I have to ask, what is that
It's
strategy?
What is the strategy? Well, it really just comes down to we created something called the instant audience formula, and we've laid it out in our training. Like my old neighbor, actually, when I was in Whistler, who's seen the lifestyle and stuff that I was living, obviously started asking questions like, "Dude, what is it that you do?" And I kind of pulled him into my world of internet marketing. He has a full-time income online now too, and he really kind of took blogging by the horns, and he created something called the instant audience formula. And it really just comes down to understanding how to properly engage on these social platforms, and then how you can actually start using some technology and some software, some types of bots and stuff to help automate some of the engagement, not to the point where it's spammy and this and that, but to the point where you're actually creating sort of reciprocal traffic through some of these social platforms. Another example is, for instance, on Facebook, it's really easy to build a fan page. I know guys that are doing like Facebook right now, because of how much information they've gathered from everybody, has actually become like the most valuable resource for building targeted audiences. And you can actually go through, and Facebook has a thing called the social graph search. On the top of your Facebook, you can actually type in like people who like Seattle Seahawks, who live in Seattle, who have checked in at, and you literally will have a list of people who like the Seahawks, live in Seattle, and have checked in at their stadium. And you have like Seattle super fans who are literally just going out and promoting T-shirts and T-shirt campaigns and like online merchandise. Who I have a lot of buddies who are doing like $30,000, $40,000 a week promoting just T-shirts on the internet through targeted campaigns like that using Facebook. You can build out fan pages in all sorts of different niches. A friend of mine just built out. He took one fan page from 40,000 likes to 350,000 likes, completely for free, just posting good free content every single day, not even using their paid features, which makes it so much easier. And he created one little offer. He hasn't even done that much to it yet, and he created himself a $10,000 a month income in the matter of 2 months, doing that just from understanding how to create an audience. And his whole audience was just about being positive.
That's amazing. Now, one of the things that's underestimated is daily content, and daily content doesn't need to be a big, long 2,000 word essay blog post. Daily content could be a single image.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is that think of all the stuff you're sharing on Facebook anyway. What if the exact same activity that you're sharing on Facebook was just structured a little more, had a little bit of organization and a plan behind it, and all of a sudden the same activity that you're putting on Facebook every day right now could create you a two, three, four, $5,000 a month income. What type of lifestyle would that allow you to live now?
It
And
would
a lot of
it,
people haven't ever even thought of that was even a possibility.
See, last year I went on this journey of discovering myself. I took almost a year off. I left the city. I went and flipped a house. I had a blast. The entire summer was just a blast. I had so much fun driving, exploring, meeting people, connecting with people. It was amazing. And I came back here and thought, I have to change something. And so I decided I'm going to change the way that I do my interviews. I'm going to change my blog. I'm going to change my lifestyle. And this is where we start up again, and that's why I'm interviewing you again.
I love it, man. I love your content from before, and I'd love to be able to help you take all this stuff to the next level for sure. We'll definitely have to have a talk off air.
We'll do that. But we are at the end of our time here. Cameron, where do you want people to go?
Head over to CameronGeorge.com. If you're there today when it's been published, you're going to notice the ability to get on my list. Other than that, there's not too much there. My developers are going through putting everything together right now, and you will be able to see kind of the evolution of CameronGeorge.com, all of the cool content that I'm starting to come out with and that I'm putting together. And yeah.
This is kind of what happened last time. Last time your site got hacked. This time your site is in mid-development.
It happens. It happens. Always moving fast and breaking things.
You know what? If you're not breaking things, you're not moving fast enough.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
No worries, bud. Thanks for having me.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.